Has someone ever done something for you or loved you in a way that made you go, wait, I don't understand why they did that? Like they were so nice, so thoughtful, so genuine, and it literally left you asking, why? I vividly remember thinking and feeling that way when I was a freshman in college. I played college soccer at Azusa Pacific University, and it was so intimidating to come in as a freshman with the older girls on the team. I was so used to being the upperclassman in high school, feeling on top of the food chain, that it felt really intimidating to be back at the bottom of the social totem pole again. I'm sure some of you can imagine that feeling, or even remember that feeling, and some of you may even be feeling that way right now. Feeling insecure, insignificant, maybe even kind of like you don't matter. For me, as a freshman in college, it was easy to feel those things, to not think much of myself, to not think I had much to offer, and to not really think my presence, personality, or skills mattered much in light of everyone else. In my mind, those things were left to the older girls, to the most talented, or even to just the more fun and outgoing girls on the team. Why would anyone notice or care about a quiet freshman like me? Well, to my surprise, some older girls on the team did. There were 3 juniors on the team that really were intentional with me and my twin sister who also played on the team. What started as just messing around with us at practices turned into them inviting us to get dinner, which then led to them having us over to their apartment for movie nights. And throughout all that time, they would ask us meaningful questions to get to know us. I remember thinking to myself, why do these girls want to hang out with us? Like, I get just being nice to us when they see us at practice, but for them to actually want to spend time with us outside of soccer, I was just so confused. Like, why do they even care about us? We're just freshmen. We aren't even cool. We have nothing to offer you. It honestly was a love I didn't understand, but it was a love I believed because they consistently loved me and pursued me in a way that made me feel seen, heard, known, and valued. Simply put, they made me feel like I mattered. They loved me in a way I had never experienced before. I had nice friends all my life, but these girls were different. They called out the best in me. They loved me in a way that made me come to life. They created the space for me to be who I was. They didn't just want to have fun with me. They really wanted to know me. They asked me questions about my life. They noticed when I wasn't okay and they drew near to me, but also they cared enough about me to talk about Jesus. You see, I didn't know Jesus then as a freshman in college, but these 3 girls did. And after doing life together with them for 2 years, my sister and I both gave our lives to Christ in the summer of 2013 when we were 20 years old. Why? Because they loved us in a way that made us feel like we mattered. And they were able to do that because they knew a greater love. They knew Jesus. My sister and I experienced God's love through our teammates, who became our friends, who would then become our roommates, and to this day, 12 years later, are like older sisters to us. That's why I love this story in Luke 5. One day, Jesus was teaching, and Pharisees and teachers of the law were sitting there. They had come from every village of Galilee and from Judea and Jerusalem, and the power of the Lord was with Jesus to heal the sick. Some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a mat and tried to take him into the house to lay him before Jesus. When they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and lowered him on his mat through the tiles and into the middle of the crowd, right in front of Jesus. When Jesus saw their faith, he said, "Friend, your sins are forgiven." The Pharisees and the teachers of the law began thinking to themselves, "Who is this fellow who speaks blasphemy? Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Jesus knew what they were thinking and asked, "Why are you thinking these things in your hearts? Which is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and walk'? But I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." So he said to the paralyzed man, "I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home." Immediately he stood up in front of them, took what he had been lying on, and went home praising God. Everyone was amazed and gave praise to God. They were filled with awe and said, "We have seen remarkable things today." Now, why do I love that story? Well, I see so much of my own story in it. The paralyzed man had no understanding of his need for Jesus, nor was he even capable of getting to him on his own. Yet, there were some people that noticed his condition and cared enough about him to do whatever it took to get him to Jesus. That's what my friends were to me. They saw I had no understanding of my need for Jesus, and they saw that I had no means to get to him on my own. But they cared enough about me to do whatever it took to get me to him. And that's exactly what they did for 2 whole years before my sister and I finally made the decision to follow Jesus on our own. God used our friends' faith to lead us to himself. Before I even knew that I mattered, my friends loved me in a way that showed me that I did. And that allowed me to taste God's love for the first time in my life. Now, I get to extend that same love to others because people matter. Whether you believe it or not, you matter to people.